Someone once told me that on a quest for revenge, make sure you dig 2 graves. Well, for the Buffalo Bills case, that first one was buried with Kansas City, and the second one is patiently awaiting Tennessee. Yo ho ho, Dal Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dal Mafia Report. Ladies and gentlemen, I have tasted revenge and I am addicted. That is right. After coming off a convincing win to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills are traveling to Nashville, Tennessee to play the Tennessee Titans for the 4th year in a row. And I am very, very excited to watch this game. I think the Buffalo Bills have a very good chance of winning this game and winning it convincingly. As always, this is my preview video. I'm going to be dissecting exactly how I think the Buffalo Bills offense is going to perform against the Tennessee Titans defense and how the Buffalo Bills defense is going to perform against the Tennessee Titans offense. Very excited to knock into the various data points, splits, you name it, and give you my realistic feedback on how I think this game is going to go. But before that, here is a very special message from today's sponsor, Jacksonville, Florida. The last time Bills Mafia was there, we didn't necessarily leave with the outcome that we were looking for. But this year, November 7th, 2021, we're coming back. Say that you thought that was a questionable decision by itself. Let's just say that game day tailgate experience is throwing us a party. I mean, holy shit, did they tell these people what we do at tailgates? Regardless, there's no way in hell that I am going to be missing this. Game day tailgate experience is throwing the ultimate tailgate prior to the game on November 7th starting at 9 a.m. I am talking open bar, a ton of food, live DJ, games, thousands of people. And to make it even better, it's being hosted by former Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars player Paul Posluszny and reality TV star Brody Jenner. Now, there's no question on the face of the planet that if anybody knows how to tailgate, it is Bills Mafia. So coming from a member of Bills Mafia, I will tell you that this is about to be lit. Me and a bunch of my boys are going to be down there and I want to see you there. Do me a favor, hit that link in my description, and before you check out, put in code Mitchell10 for 10% off any ticket that you go for. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss this. Bills Mafia, I will see you there, and bring the tables. So yeah, Dal Mafia, last year there is no question that the Buffalo Bills got smoked by the Tennessee Titans. Now, I'm normally not one to make excuses, and I am not going to, but I will say that it probably didn't help that that game was completely rescheduled about 3 or 4 times, and we ended up playing on damn Tuesday Night Football. The team clearly did not show up to play, and we got embarrassed. We ended up getting embarrassed on national television. So I'm really hoping that the Buffalo Bills, barring any type of COVID setbacks, for the love of God, let's knock on wood on this, that we're going to go into Tennessee and take care of business. I do want to start off with this offense and really go on ahead and just start dissecting what I think the Bills defense needs to do. But just to give you overall stats of what this looks like, the Tennessee Titans are currently scoring 26.4 points per game, looking at about 10th in the overall league. They're converting about 38.6% of all of their third downs, which is in the bottom half of the league. 389 total yards per game, 167.8 yards on the ground. That's 3rd in the entire NFL, mostly just because of Derrick Henry. I mean, dude man has like over 146 attempts, and every other person on that team has less than 8, and 221 passing yards in the air. And so now this offense is certainly not what it was expected. Now, granted, they do have a brand new offensive coordinator since Arthur Smith ended up going over to Atlanta to become their head coach, and there's going to be some adjustments. It also doesn't help that Julio Jones and A.J. Brown have not been healthy whatsoever, and when they have been out on the field, they've clearly been rushed back, and they haven't been nearly as productive. So the passing game that Tennessee invested in so heavily over the offseason has really not been clicking, and that also speaks to the fact of why Mr. Tannehill has not been looking like he has for the past 2 years. Now, granted, when it comes to Tannehill, his numbers still really aren't that bad. I mean, He's completing about 63.6% of his passes, 250 yards per game. He has an 89.5 passer rating, 6 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. The key, the sweet spot here of why they're really not getting a lot of traction is due to the fact that Dude Man is on his ass almost 24/7. He is the most sacked quarterback in the entire league. A lot of that has to do with their offensive line. And so many are saying that Lewin was rushed back from his ACL injury and he's still not quite 100%. And there's a right guard by the name of Nate Davis who is giving up pressure like Oprah gives away various prizes on her show. I mean, the guy's accounting for, I think, over like 38% of the total pressures that Tannehill has been experiencing so far. Normally, you'll know when I'm talking about quarterbacks, I always like bringing up if there's any difference in stats of how he performs with how long he holds on to the ball. Normally, I keep 2.5 as the threshold, the same thing that Joe Marino does when he gives you his stat breakdown on his podcast. There's really not a difference at all. It's so marginal, it is not even worth mentioning. The number one thing that I think has been killing them is the amount of pressure that has been killing Tannehill. I mean, his completion percentage dips down to about 40% when he's experiencing organic pressure, not blitzes. He's very good against the blitz. When he's kept clean, you're looking at about 70%. But the problem is that the big play potential that we were so accustomed to seeing from Tannehill the past 2 years has not been there at all. In fact, Dude Man's 3 for 18 this year when it comes into passes over 20 yards. So as far as gaining in that chemistry, so not really being able to work with AJ Brown and Julio Jones because they can't stay healthy, this has been a large factor of why their passing game really hasn't been ignited, right? But let's be honest with ourselves. They could always revert back to what their offense is centralized around, and that is Derrick Henry. We all know what Derrick Henry is. He's, in my opinion, the best running back in the entire league. What makes me sleep better at night is the fact that he realistically has not done well against the Buffalo Bills, ladies and gentlemen. He has not done well against the Buffalo Bills. And so, in fact, for the last 3 matchups, in 2020, he had 57 yards. That was his worst production all of last year, where he just went off. 78 yards in 2019 and 56 yards in 2018. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have potential to completely go in there and destroy our run defense. But by the way that our team has been playing against the run, even though we're going up against a running back that averages 3.5 yards after the carry, I still think that Sean McDermott's going to be able to go in there and utilize the same game plan that has really been making the Tennessee Titans one-dimensional. I think that when it comes into any key of this game, the Buffalo Bills need to make this team one-dimensional, and they need to make the Titans rely on the pass. Julio Jones, if I'm a gambling man, he's not going to be out on that field. I don't think he's going to be ready. If he is, I almost guarantee you the Titans have rushed him back, and he's not going to be nearly anywhere as effective. If we can hold Derrick Henry to these types of numbers for the past 3 years, make the Tennessee Titans fall on to the pass alone with the struggles of A.J. Brown, a possible absence of Julio Jones, a bunch of no-name receivers and tight ends, the Buffalo Bills defense should have a field day as long as we can hold Derrick Henry to these types of numbers. That's my main key going into it. I really like the way that our defense has been playing, how we've been game planning and stuff along those lines. I love the matchups between the Tennessee Titans offensive line and the Bills pass rush, especially with that Nate Davis thing that I just said. Dude's giving up about 38.6% of all the pressures. Pick on that fool. Pick on that fool. We have the depth on the defensive line side of things. We should be going through that bitch like Swiss cheese. Very excited to see how our defense ends up stacking up. But like I said, as long as we can contain Derrick Henry and make them focus on the pass with a very banged up receiving core and an offense that is still desperately adjusting to a new offensive scheme, I have a feeling our defense is about to do very, very well. This next up is going to be the Tennessee Titans defense against the Buffalo Bills offense. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just put this out there that this team is significantly injured. Honestly, I mean, several of these names on this list, I'm not even sure are going to be able to play. There's no question that the Tennessee Titans have struggled with defense. It's been a theme ever since Vrabel ended up taking over. They invested heavily this offseason in order to let's say, for example, improve a lot of their holes, but like I just said, they're experiencing a lot of injuries. As a whole, right now, they're giving up about 26 points per game, which is in well below the bottom half of the league. 10 sacks. They're giving up 377 yards per game, 113 rush yards per game, and 264 pass yards per game. If there was any game breakers on the face of the planet, it would have to be the defensive tackle Simmons, and so the defensive end Landry. Both of those guys have the potential of legitimately being game breakers. They've been known to make really, really big plays when it comes down onto that defensive line. So our offensive line needs to be ready and communicating. If you need to double team Simmons or double team Landry, that's exactly what you need to do. They did sign Bud Dupree, but I have a feeling that he's not going to be able to play on Monday either. He went on record saying that he felt rushed back from his ACL from last year, so I don't expect to see Bud Dupree out there. If we do, he's not going to be 100%. I almost guarantee you that. And so next is going to have to be their safety, Baird, as far as that works out. I mean, he's an absolute ball hawk, Pro Bowler, definitely somebody that Josh Allen needs to worry about. But really, everybody else in this team, as far as the linebacker room and the cornerback room, I mean, Janoris Jenkins, who's going to be on the outside. He was great like back in 2016, but he is well in the twilight of his career. They have a lot of injuries in that room as well. So I fully anticipate the Buffalo Bills going out there and essentially keeping the foot on their throat. Right now, we are looking at a team that is desperately injured. They're going to be doing a lot of mixed matches. They're going to be putting players that don't typically play in those specific schemes. They're going to be going up against the #1 scoring offense in the entire league. Don't let up. Don't even give this team an opportunity to come back. There has to be no off quarters, nothing. We just need to absolutely go in there. And so next up, I've already said this, but as far as your offensive line is concerned, communicate, right? Definitely communicate. Make sure if you need to double team Simmons, you need to double team Landry. Make sure that happens. Josh Allen, keep on doing what you're doing. Roll off to the right, get rid of the ball fast, and do not be afraid to air the ball down the field because they have been struggling from the cornerback situation. And likely, we're going to be seeing a lot of rookies lining up against some of our receivers. So, Dom Mafia, that's going to have to do it for the preview of the game. If I had to guess what I think is going to go down on Monday night, I am guessing the Buffalo Bills win this game 31-10. I see another convincing victory. I think that the Buffalo Bills have proven themselves to be able to contain Derrick Henry. And while we can make them one-dimensional on the passing side of things, I think that there's still a lot of things that they need to figure out in order for them to be competitive in that type of offensive scheme. Overall, I just see this as a mismatch. I don't see this game getting rescheduled. The Bills are going to be ready to go into Tennessee and go 5-1 into the bye week. Do me a favor, leave a comment. What is your score prediction? Give me your hot take. I always love hearing that. And you too, Tennessee Titans fans. Feel free to tell me why I'm wrong. I always love opening the floor up to additional conversation. Dom Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.